This feels really weird. Oh my god. I don't really know how to start this. This past week has felt very strange, and I don't know if that's just me. I hope it's not just me. I had other things planned. I was filming YouTube videos this week and ready to upload some, but it just didn't feel right to pretend like none of this was happening. Social media right now is kind of hectic and very overwhelming and very repetitive, frankly. I told myself I was gonna get off social media for a while and just be done and wait till things blow over a little bit so I don't have to feel so numb to a lot of stuff happening in the world right now. But honestly, it doesn't do me any good sitting silent. If anything, it harms me more. In today's video, we're going to be talking about police brutality and the Black Lives Matter movement and George Floyd and all these other victims of police brutality. And it's heavy. It's really, really heavy. And I've been feeling really anxious and overwhelmed. And with all the things going on with the pandemic, my family doesn't feel comfortable with me protesting right now. So I just felt like this was the only way I could truly make sure I was heard, especially on social media. I'm such an advocate for Black advocacy, but I would hate to not actually be contributing to anything. So I just really wanted to take the time to use the platform that I have, as small as it is, to really educate the people that are surrounded by me, even if it's not something that gets widespread by any means. That's not what I'm asking for. More than anything, I just really want the people back home, the people closest to me, to know that this just feels very weird. I feel like I shouldn't be doing this, honestly. But I don't know what else to do that is within my control right now. I have a journal here just with all of my talking points and things I want to go over, just to kind of help organize my thoughts, because I am very riled up about everything. I'm very emotional about everything. Before I start, I just really want to stress that this is not about me. This will never be about me, especially in this particular instance. And I do not want to speak on behalf of other Black people or act as if I'm a tokenistic figure for Black people by any means. But again, I just really felt it was important for me to lean into the frustration that I'm feeling and allow myself to expel that out and let people know. First, it's no secret that earlier this week, George Floyd was killed by a police officer. I didn't even watch the video for the first few days just because I don't know, something about just violent videos like that of literally Black people, innocent Black people, dying at the hands of law enforcement is really a lot to take in. And especially since social media has been so big within the past decade, you grow numb to it, you know? I really hated knowing that I could watch something like that and not feel anything towards it. So I didn't. And then a few days ago, I finally watched it. I was angry, I was frustrated. I was posting a whole bunch of stuff on social media. Speaking of social media, there has been a lot of surfacing online of the different rioting and protesting taking place, the looting and from Target, and the protesting in Minneapolis and the police presence that's taking place there. I don't know. I know I have a lot of outreach to people of all backgrounds, I guess, and I just think giving them perspective right now especially is really important. And since we're on the topic of social media, I feel like it's really important to realize your intention with that. I understand that for some of you it might be the first introduction to police brutality or some kind of injustice. Maybe you've never even experienced injustice blatantly like this before. Frankly, none of us have, except for those who were there at the scene. We've only just caught the ripple effect of the publishing online. I know that this is definitely a tilted perspective that we're all taking, but especially for those who maybe haven't recognized that this is a problem, frankly, or just haven't been exposed to people who deal with this as often. I just really wanted to make sure that those who are active on social media and those who are making sure that they do their part on social media, that you're realizing what your intention is when doing so. Social media is definitely a force that can be used for the better, but again, ask yourself, what does reposting this particular post do for you? Freshman year of college, I took an English course and we talked about the idea of Slacktivism, which is basically this concept where people post things online, especially things that are more geared towards causes or like rallying against certain injustices, and by doing so they think that they've done their due diligence for society. Now, not to say that that's completely wrong, but again, Slack, that really key component in that term is the fact that like it doesn't take much effort. And I guess that's kind of the good thing about social media, because at your own convenience you can be involved in some way. Does only posting this video of this man being killed cause awareness, or does it harm people? You know, I think you just have to ask, what does this do for the people that I'm surrounded by? Is this actually going to make some kind of difference? And I think we're all guilty of it. I definitely am. On my Instagram story, I have a story called Slacktivism. I'm aware that this is my lazy way of letting my following, if you even want to call it that, just speaking for myself, it's a piss poor attempt to spread some kind of message in some way. This past week, I've been noticing a lot of people stepping out and saying different things in regards to this, and that is fantastic. I'm so glad that you guys are taking the time to like really prove your allyship, but something about it just feels off. I don't want to speak on behalf of anyone, but like I can't help but to think, are some people doing this because they want to be accepted and they don't want to be labeled as a racist? They don't. Who would? You know, who wants to be labeled as a bad person? Who wants to be labeled as somebody who is inflicting harm onto others? No one. Are people posting these things just because it's the current wave and they want to make sure that they aren't rejected or labeled as wrong by not saying anything? I don't know, but it's something I do have to question, just because frankly I don't see these people doing it in everyday life. We all have different things going on within our lives, but I just really want to stress the idea that this does not end here, because I've seen so many times when like society gets in this big uproar like this, that like what goes up must come down. When this like peak, this wave slows down and it just comes to an immediate halt and silence, I want you to ask yourself what you're doing to help these people, help my people. Because at the end of the day, again, when this dies down, because it will, I'm still Black. There are people who are still affected by this. And I wouldn't even say that I'm directly affected by this. I come from a middle-class family. I have two loving parents. I have a strong family support system. I'm not exposed to certain things that different Black people are exposed to. But I don't think that means that I don't have any right to be upset, for starters, and that I don't have any right to speak out for those people or help uplift those people. Have I faced discrimination before? Of course. I'm a Black woman. I experienced some form of discrimination in the public in some way, shape, or form anytime I am out, frankly. But I would never downplay the fact that there are other people out there who are dealing with so much more violence within their lives that cause them to run into the systematic oppression that our society has set in place, American society has set in place since its creation. Just be cautious and be aware of what you're spreading, right? Good or bad, you know? I'm not saying that you shouldn't be speaking out or that you shouldn't be helping us, you know, reach a certain goal. But again, be wary of your intention. We could all be doing more. I could be doing more. But like, I would like to think that I do what I can, what's in my control to uplift my people. All of that is to say that as a Black person who is actively advocating, it is frustrating to see like people pick and choose when they want to do that. I've always said that by advocating for others outside of your community, you make something that was once a Black issue a people issue, right? A part of me does feel slightly disappointed that we need the validation of other people in order for it to really like gain traction. And again, I don't want to come off as like you shouldn't be helping us because we don't need your help. That is not at all what I am saying. Like I said, this is a people issue. And if you are not upset by this, that is a problem. I just can't help but to feel some kind of frustration with the fact that there have been Black people advocating for hundreds of years. And I'm not talking just about the civil rights movement. Believe it or not, Black people existed before the civil rights movement. Black people were advocating for other Black people before the civil rights movement. A part of me still feels like stricken by the fact that we need others in order for our message to really gain some kind of validation or, I don't know, confirmation of injustice. Like, I don't know if that sounds crazy. There's so many different like intricacies and complexities to this. There's so many things that you have to like undo and unpack in order to really understand. And I'm sorry if that's like not coming out the way I wanted to. Allyship in its purest form is when you're able to first off listen. I go to a primarily white institution, also known as a PWI, and I've run into typically two types of white people. I hate to categorize y'all like this, but it's just an observation, and of course not everybody falls under these two, but most commonly this is what I find. There are the white people who have no exposure to race. They've come from white communities. They have no idea what even talking about race looks like. But then you have the other who is gung-ho and they are ready to fight on your behalf. But so much so to the point where it's like they are speaking for you and speaking on issues that they have never even encountered. On both sides of those spectrums, and anybody who falls in between, and not even just white people, listen, hear what people are telling you. And this doesn't even just apply to Black issues. This applies to all marginalized folk in any regard. But right now we are focusing on Black people. I don't need you to prove to me that you are down for Black rights, because you should be. Black people are people, believe it or not. I don't want you to go out of your way to make sure that I know that you are down for the cause. I want you to do things in silence, even if it doesn't get recognition. An ally is somebody who is willing to step forth, use their circumstances to their advantage to help the disadvantaged. All of this is to say, allyship is an action. We need you to step forward and we need you to step up. We need you, but we don't need you to seek our validation for proving that you are with the Black Lives Matter movement, and we don't need you to validate our experiences. We need you to show up and show out and be ready to be down for the cause as much as you say you are online. And again, this is what's within your control. I do what's within my control. I'm recording this video to let people know that there are things to be upset about, and also there are ways to get involved. And there are ways to stay involved. Stay involved. We need you, not just right now, because there's a huge wave on social media. I've seen it with Sandra Bland. We've seen it with Trayvon Martin. We've seen it with Oscar Grant. And so many others. This cannot die down. You cannot choose to be outraged for a moment in time. Act like you want to help, and then don't after that moment in time has surpassed. I keep reading different tweets about like the commodification of Black bodies and Blackness, and I just find it very interesting that people pick and choose what parts of Blackness is acceptable. Y'all can lay your edges and baby hairs. You can get chunky jewelry and box braids. You can join rap music and you can date Black people. We let you in with open arms. Hesitantly, I will say. But we let you in regardless. And those people, I'm noticing at least, are especially silent. And if you want to be a part of Black culture, you cannot shy out when things get tough. And I'm not just talking about when there is a huge nationwide racial conflict happening. I'm talking every day. So if you want to be a part of this sanctity that we have created, you need to step up and you need to be all in. You do not get to choose which parts are acceptable. Because those of you saying the N-word, awfully quiet. I have grown up around the Bay Area. I went to school with a whole bunch of Asian kids. And those same kids who I heard say the N-word carelessly, flung it around like it was nothing, suddenly have something to say. And I'm watching. We are watching. We're noticing. Black people are noticing this shit. And of course, people change. But if that's you, you need to make sure that that change is implemented in your daily life. Or it's something as simple as not expecting the Black person in the room to explain something to you just because you don't get it. Do your own research. It could also be just signing petitions, protesting, do whatever you can. I just want to end by saying, allies, do what you can, but also make sure while you're doing so, it's consistently, it's with open ears, an open mind, and an open heart, and more than anything, it's with action. And to Black people, right now, I would never say what you should or should not be doing. If you're looting stores, is it morally correct? Probably not. But I understand the response. I understand the frustration. But more than anything, I really hope that y'all are like really taking care of yourselves. Like, to my BSU members who may or may not be watching this, like, I understand that this is all just so like overbearing, but just know it is okay to prioritize yourself right now. It's okay to not be the person speaking up and speaking out. It is okay not to be the person educating other people who aren't Black about our issues. We have so many resources and we have so much history that other people can look into. It is not your job if you don't want it to be. I really hope things get better, but it only gets better if we actually want it to, and if everyone is willing to make sure that we can get there. Because for everyone who think all lives matter, they don't matter until Black lives matter. And right now, that does not seem to be the case. Again, I hope you guys are all staying safe. For those of you who are protesting, please, please stay safe more than anything. Thank you for your due diligence. For everybody posting on social media, great, thank you. That awareness is needed. What else are you doing? And more than anything, Black lives matter.